Hey everyone, you have reached the landing, OnePlanet's weekly meeting place for the entire Polygon NFT community. Every week at this time, you will learn more about the Polygon network, its native token Matic, and discuss the wonderful world of NFTs with some of the best and brightest minds from the NFT universe. And now, here's your host.
Planet's the place to be to showcase your NFTs. Best blockchain is Polygon. OnePlanet want to be on, yeah.
I am definitely excited about today's show and the discussion around the evolution of Web3 gaming. And we have Knights and Peasants in the house who have a game. So I'm curious to see how their game is going. Department 77 is here as well, and they have their own game live already with their droids, and they have a mini game coming up as well. So I want to get them up here and hear more about their upcoming roadmap. And we have the Matic man here in the house, our co-host, Eric Choi, and Narb, who will be sharing some information about Polygon and also just their thoughts and opinions around Web3 gaming as well. Just want to check in, see how you guys are doing. Starting here with Matic Man, how are you today?
Good morning, Edwin. I'm doing well, doing very well. Excited about this space again. Good to see Eric, and always great to be in a space with the GOAT, Narb. Looking forward to hearing some more alpha about the Matic ecosystem. And we love Knights and Peasants. Fantastic. Good to hear. I'm going to be glad to hear from you. And Straight Light, looking forward to hearing more about Department 77. So yeah, really glad to be in the space today.
What I want to do today with the comments section to get us started and see if we can get a little bit of momentum with the Twitter algorithm, right? So the question today, since we're going to be talking about gaming, how about we share what your favorite game is? What is one game that you continue to go back to, that you just can't stop playing, or maybe one that growing up you were just a huge fan of and maybe you don't play anymore, you moved on to different games now. But I'm curious about the games that you guys like. So share that in the comments. That way we can see if we can get some more people in here and we can start talking about games. One thing that I want to start with today is Triple S. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with what that is. And with OnePlanet, one thing that we are working more towards is including our Korean community. Since OnePlanet is based out of South Korea, we have a lot of supporters from there, and there's a lot of innovation going on there with NFTs. And Triple S is a company, is essentially a group that produces music, right? And what they are doing with NFTs, they are calling it objects with a K, and essentially you can download the Cosmos app, and in there you can pick which song you want them to fully produce in the next album. And I found that really interesting. And so right now, if you go to OnePlanet, our website, we have a specific event page for them where you can see that they chose song B, as in boy, out of the different choices that they had. And it was almost like a tournament. They had a bunch of songs that they could choose from. And it started with the quarterfinals, it went down to the semifinals, and then finally they chose between song B and song F, and song B ended up winning. And so I found this very interesting that they're involving their community in this tournament to choose which song they want to fully produce. And so you can listen to each individual song. It's just a few seconds long, But from that, the fans are able to just choose their favorite. And then what OnePlanet is doing here is partnering with Triple S. And if you participate in the event right now, there's 1,000 random first class objects that you can receive. And it's based on a first come, first serve basis. So definitely check that out if you're interested in this kind of music. This is something that's new for me. But as I mentioned, they have NFTs within their app, and I found it super interesting that they're making that connection between the community and NFTs and voting and all of that. So I want to start there. Just I'm curious if any of you listen to this kind of music, or if you guys have seen anything that's similar to this, where there's artists involving their community and picking their feature songs. Go ahead, Matic Man.
I'm not a huge K-pop fan, but I know here in China, K-pop is all the rage. A lot of big K-pop fans here, and in Asia, K-pop is king, it seems like.
Yeah, that's definitely the same thing that I am, just getting more familiar with based on working with the rest of the OnePlanet team. That, there's another big company called Mod House that is working towards bringing NFTs and combining artists. And so, that's something that we're going to continue to expand into, just different categories of NFT projects, right? Going broader than just PFP projects and going into the gaming communities and music. And so for me, that's the exciting part right now, just getting to know all of these creators building around that. And so, yeah, go ahead, Matic.
Yeah, I see that Ashton from Signed.trade is in the space as well. They're a new entry into Polygon. We've gotten to know them in recent weeks, and I think he wanted to say something also.
Hey everybody, can everyone hear me all right?
Yeah.
Caught me at the gym, but I saw a Twitter space and I felt like I had to pop in. So how you guys doing?
Doing great. We're just getting started here. One question that I have for you, and it's just, what was the first game you've ever just fell in love with and couldn't stop playing? We're going to be
First
talking about
game?
gaming today. That's right.
I would probably say Super Smash Bros. Melee was probably the first game that I really liked. That's one of the best games ever created, I think. Really is set the basis for my favorite type of fighting game. I love that game. Top 10 game for me all time. Probably top 1 actually. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love that choice. Definitely one of my favorites too. I think that was one of the first times that I ever really got competitive with my siblings, and it was cool to see just a tournament aspect of that as well. Pikachu was one of my favorites there.
I was a big Samus main.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
For sure.
My friends would
Very
hate it
cool.
when I would shoot them with the giant ball move. I would just kind of run away and shoot them in the corner. They hated me when I played.
Yeah, it's interesting when you can start spamming when you get those moves down. But stick around here with us. We're going to move on to a couple of our other guests here, but definitely stay here and we'll come back to you later on.
Yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, of course. Eric, I want to move on with you. How are you doing today? I see you commented StarCraft already. But yeah, how are you doing today?
Yeah, doing great. I think it's actually great to talk to you guys on a regular basis and can't wait to know more about the NFT gaming space, especially on Polygon. And like I said, the StarCraft is my favorite game that I played like when I was middle school. So it's like back in the day, I got into the game, can't stop playing. It almost hurt my grades sometimes, but had a great memory playing the game.
Yeah, that is interesting, right? Because that's one thing that gaming has, that it pulls you in so much that you kind of leave everything else behind. You get lost, and you spend hours just trying to level up and trying to, depending on the game, right? Trying to just dive deeper into the lore and the story and beating bosses and all that. So that's the compelling case for gaming in general, and that's where NFTs have a huge opportunity to take advantage of that, right? And actually provide more value to the collections, I would say. And so that's one thing that we want to continue to discuss and continue to see where the creators are pushing this NFT technology as well, right? Let's move on to Narb. How are you doing today? What was one of your favorite games?
What's up, everyone? Good to see everyone here again today. I was a huge fan of Call of Duty. I know that I actually don't think I've ever said this before, but I actually used to play Call of Duty competitively in tournaments and things like that. So, and I've actually found that a lot of people in the Web3 space have at least been into gaming at some point in their life or still are. There's just some kind of correlation between gaming and Web3, I think. But yeah, I've been super into Call of Duty almost my whole life. I don't play it as much as I used to because I just don't have as much time on my hands as I used to, but I still love that franchise. And personally, I'm more of a multiplayer type of gamer rather than campaign. I know some people really like like the story part of games and things like that, but I really like multiplayer. I was into Grand Theft Auto for a long time. San Andreas, a throwback to San Andreas on the PS2. But yeah, those are some of my favorite games. I'm definitely more of an online type of player than the story, though.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, one game that I still play, and I picked this up more during COVID, where I wasn't able to hang out with friends. I was looking more for that social kind of environment around gaming, and Call of Duty Warzone was something that I picked up with friends. Also, NBA 2K, just meeting random people in the court. But it was interesting that kind of environment, right, where you're trying to be social and trying to meet so, strangers or friends in the metaverse, if you want to say it that way.
Yeah, it saved us during the lockdown, right? We could connect in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. You were almost forced to at that point, right? It was either that or like zooming with other people. Uh, but yeah, gaming, gave you a bit of a different outlet, right? It wasn't just talking, but it was also a way to like work together as a team with your friends or with strangers. And I think we got Shantastic here in Knights and Peasants accounts. How are you doing today? What's your favorite game?
Hey guys, my favorite game. Oh, I think the two games that have made the most impact on me across many years of my life would be Pokemon. The many different iterations of Pokemon across the years. I've always had to transfer my whole Pokédex from one game to the next for the last decade or so. And World of Warcraft, which I pick up every expansion, play relentlessly for a few months, and then drop for another few months until the next expansion. But it's my comfy game, the one that's always there to pick up and immerse yourself in when you're having a low moment or just need something.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? That a lot of the times these games they help us escape from whatever we have going on in life, and I think that is important. There's a lot of different ways to escape. Some people use working out and exercising and having that kind of physical intensity into something, but there's other people that um, like to have more of a mental or like emotional escape in a story and playing a game. I think that definitely gives you a different kind of value, right? It makes you think in a different way. But I mean, Pokemon that that brought a lot of memories there as well. Just playing on the Game Boy Color, that was back a long time ago. But a lot of fun with that game for sure. I remember trying to get as many rare candies as I could to level up to 99 as quickly as I could. I don't know if you remember that. But so today, what the goal is ultimately is just to talk a little bit about the evolution that we've seen in the last year and a half around um, gaming in Web3. I think one of the biggest ones that we saw initially was the play to earn environment through um, just games that were essentially kind of like DeFi, right? And you can attract new players, new liquidity, and that was kind of the initial attraction of the game. And then after that came the gameplay. So I'm curious about, maybe Matic, man. I'll start here with you. Just what was your first experience with Web3 gaming in general? Were there any games that attracted you that you looked into?
Yeah, just going back a little further, Edwin, I'm a huge sports fan. So my favorite gaming experiences have been centered around sports games. Like every year, the new Madden, American football game that comes out is always a big attraction for me. So any type of competitive sports game, I'm in. I love that. I, I'm excited to hear from our guest today what they see the future of Web3 gaming. We have seen a big shift even in the last 12 months. The excitement around Axie, the play to earn. It's like it was going to sweep the universe, and now we see it a big shift even within a year. So I'm interested to see where it's going. I was reading an article just today about how they believe play and earn is going to take over the play to earn model. So I'm interested to hear from our guests today what they think.
Yeah, definitely. I want to point out another comment here from Department 77, Straight Light. He says, XCOM is probably my favorite game if we go by most replayed, and if we don't count FIFA. So sports games there, yeah, it's interesting how sports games every year they come out with new ones, right? And um, it almost feels like there's not that much that changes, but the rosters, but they continue to be a huge attraction, and a lot of people, uh, just the competitiveness factor, I think is important, right? That when you can play PvP against somebody else, I think that creates a lot of fun um, for everybody. But yeah, so play to earn was essentially what we first saw, right? And then now those kind of terms are changing. One thing that I want to hear from Straylight later on, is with his idea being more of a way to have players cooperate with each other rather than playing against each other, and figuring out ways to kind of build a game around that kind of environment. Um, Fantastic. I'm curious about your experience, running Knights and Peasants. What's the style of gaming that you guys are building there?
We started with the building of the 2D idle game, and that was purely because we saw a lot of games overpromising in the bull run. There was all these people making MMORPGs and just very elaborate games that take full 100-person teams to really pull off. But we wanted something achievable but fun, so we went with the 2D idle game, which has some strategy in it, and we're moving towards our crafting very, very soon, within the next couple of weeks, I think it should be, and then a city builder. So Age of Empires inspiration, Age of Empires Travian, that sort of inspiration, but crafting and city building will be next.
Nice. Yeah, and that creates a huge kind of ecosystem for your community as well, right? Because there can be a lot of just user-generated content that can come out of that, and different strategies that they can engage with each other and talk about.
Yeah, and we've been able to utilize and involve our community with stuff like adding their quests into the game, quest writing competitions that we can immediately put into the game for them to play. We did a Christmas themed quest competition, which should be out very soon as well, I think this weekend. So yeah, there's a lot of community involvement with it, and just being able to play something together and strategize together and talk a lot. It's a lot. It brings a lot to our community, being able to have that sort of interaction without the need to wait many months for these gigantic plans to come into place. We can do it incrementally and have fun together.
Yeah, that's huge as well, right? I think that's almost something that's expected in Web3 as well, that you're building with your community. Sometimes if there's too much time in between those updates, your community might get a little bit antsy, right? And start asking questions about like when something when are we gonna get something new to do. So I think that diving deeper into that expectation, right? And um, I think sometimes you can even take a bit of a risk, and even if things don't come out perfectly as you initially thought they would, you can still provide them something to try, and through their feedback fix it and make it better so that the experience fits something that can work for both you and your vision, and then also for them that they're using the product essentially.
Yeah, their feedback has just been has had a huge impact on our project. We've had a lot of improvements in our game just from all their feedback that they've given us, and they're not they're not shy about giving feedback, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? That you can't always please everybody with what their feedback is. Um, but I think still, even just giving them that opportunity, right, to say something, to speak up. Sometimes those ideas could be something that could be implemented, something that maybe you guys hadn't thought of. And with Polygon going into just attracting a lot more gaming communities, right? I think that's going to be a really good opportunity for projects like yours and other projects to continue to attract them, as other legacy brands or just bigger brands bring in new users and new eyes. That creates just a really good opportunity for all these projects here. I want to check in with Narb. I know he's got some stats for us about Polygon, and so yeah, I wanted to see what you got going on this week for us.
All right, so yeah, just want to give some updates on this week in Polygon, starting with giving a shout out to the DeFi ecosystem in Polygon. So we've been seeing some pretty big increases in users in the DeFi ecosystem on Polygon, which is great to see. For example, this week, Paraswap had 31,000 users, which is an increase of 47% from the previous week. Kyberswap at 20K users, up 56%. Aave saw an increase of 88% in users this week at 18K. Balancer up 48% at 13K. And then lastly, Curve Finance saw an increase of 414% increase in users this week. So even in the bear market, it's really great to see these applications or these DeFi projects performing so well in the bear market. And next, sort of another stat here, the number of contract creations have increased for the past 4 weeks in a row. This week was 19K. And then the net weekly bridge volume for the Polygon POS bridge has been steadily increasing as well, this week at 18 million in volume. So some great stats there as well. Now moving on to some POS stats alone. So the total amount of transactions that have been executed on the Polygon POS chain is now at 2.28 billion, which is pretty incredible. And that's averaging around 3 million daily. So Polygon is currently averaging around 3 million transactions daily. And to give some comparison on this, Arbitrum is currently executing around 350 to 400,000 daily. And Optimism also right around there, around 400,000 daily. And then Polygon has also been doing more daily transactions than BSC lately as well. So really a whole lot of activity happening here in the bear market, which is really, really awesome. Even, these stats are even growing during the bear market. So even during the peak bull market, we're starting to see those numbers again, which is incredible. Moving on to the last analytics stats here. Currently, the total unique addresses on Polygon is at 199.4 million. So we're just a day or two away from reaching a really big milestone at 200 million, which is really, incredible. I know I keep saying that, but just incredible. And we're currently averaging around 400,000 daily active users. Now, lastly, just moving on to some news. Things are, going to be a little bit quieter during this time of the year, during the holiday season. You're not going to see, as much news or activities happening within this ecosystem. But just a few news pieces here. Starbucks has officially launched that Starbucks Odyssey beta program for a limited amount of testers. Warner Music joins forces with Polygon to create a Web3 music platform. And then just announced a couple hours ago, actually, a rigorous security audit of Polygon ZK EVM has now begun. Obviously, security is super, super important in this space, especially when you're building these new products that, hundreds of thousands of users are going to use. So a pretty hefty security audit happening right now for the new Polygon ZK EVM that's currently on testnet. And that is basically all of the news and stats that I have for this week. So just a lot of incredible stuff going on here in the midst of the bear market. Really not a whole lot slowing down at all. We're just honestly seeing increases across the board, and obviously hope to see that continue.
Yeah, thank you, Narb. And I actually wanted to connect some of the daily transaction numbers that you shared with Knights and Peasants. I'm curious about, are the transactions or the actions that are taking place in your game, are they on the chain?
Yes, they are. So if I bring up DAppRadar, so our 24-hour volume is 3.5K transactions. So for the week, we're on 23.75K transactions across both chains. But that is not including a few contracts that we need to get approved by DAppRadar still. Quite a few on Harmony still need to be uploaded, and a few on Polygon as well.
Nice, yeah, and that was just a connection that I wanted to make there, that with Polygon continuing to attract more gaming projects, a lot of those transactions are coming from there, right? And that just continues to prove the scalability solution that Polygon was created for, right? Just to add to the power of Ethereum, but at the same time being able to scale and allow these transactions to go through. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, that's a pretty impressive number. So I was wondering if like all the transactions are happening on chain, which is very impressive, or is there some component you're taking off chain to give a better user experience for the players?
So you're right. It's not a great user experience having everything on chain, and we are working towards doing a Web 2 to Web3 hybrid model where a lot of it will be off chain, but the ownership, the core of Web3 will still be on chain. That way, everything will go a lot faster. Recently, we've had quite a lot of problems with the Polygon RPCs because there's been so much activity. And it's slowed down our game quite a lot. Some people have had to stop questing, so a Web 2, Web 3 hybrid model would help that a lot.
And I think that's where some of these other solutions like the ZK and rollup that Polygon is working on will contribute to just distributing those transactions, right? And being able to free up some of the POS chain. And I know that there's projects working on creating their own chains as well using Polygon. So it's going to be interesting, in a year just to see all of the ways that Polygon is being used. Because right now it is pretty centered around the POS chain. But we are seeing that there's a lot of building going on with different scaling solutions. And so like a game by itself can have its own chain and be able to control the different layers of the infrastructure there, right? So I'm definitely curious to see how they evolve around that. One thing that I want to go back to here, any new listeners, if you guys can comment under this post about what your favorite game was growing up. I'm curious to learn more about you guys. Some people here have said StarCraft, XCOM, FIFA, Pokemon. One of my favorite games was Command and Conquer. There's a bunch of different ones, but the specific one for me is called Yuri's Revenge because you can control minds and control the enemy's army. So I always thought that was a pretty good skill to have on my end. The Promise 77, if you want to come up, just request. I want to hear more about your mini game as well. And I know you got a lot of your actions that are off chain as well. So I'm curious to learn about that. Narb, I know you said you needed to take off early, so definitely feel free to handle your business. Again, I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing all of those statistics with us. I think it's important to stay up to date with what's going on with the chain, and you're the man to go to for that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. I got to run, but nice seeing everyone, and I'll see you all next week.
Thank you, Narb.
Bye, guys.
See ya. While we have Aston here, I think you mentioned something, or Matic Man mentioned that you are building a platform around music, and maybe you had some thoughts around Triple S or K-pop.
Yeah. So what Signed is, for everyone who doesn't know, we're a music distribution platform. That means we get music out to all of those big major streaming platforms that you guys listen on: Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, everything that you can listen to music on. We get it out there. We then collect the royalties made on these tracks for music sales and streams and publishing. So we also get stuff on the radio and everything. And from these music sales, we distribute it to token holders on our market. So what we have essentially created here is a music stock market. If you are invested and staked in a musician's token, you get paid out in monthly dividends in that musician's native token, and liquidity is added to the token. So every time royalties pay out, the price of the token rises and investors get paid. It's then up to the investor if they want to sell off their shares in the token for liquidity, which is in Matic, or not. So every time royalties pay out, we get it in USD, and we convert it to Matic and have that back the token. So essentially, you're investing into the future of that musician's music sales and Polygon together. We're basically using musicians' royalties to create their own 401k that's up for public speculation, with Matic being the growing asset. And we've seen this work. It shouldn't be that only labels are the ones who control what musicians get investment or not. It should be up for anybody, and it should be specifically those musicians' fans. Musicians are very limited to who can invest in their music, and the current model, in most cases, is get as many fans as possible, and hopefully a label will notice you, throw you a little bit of cash, steal all of your masters and IP. You lose who you are as a brand. You lose your sound because it's been bought out at the cheapest buyer, and you kind of lose your passion. This allows musicians to continue to grow with finance and investment from their own fan base, keeping their IP and masters, simply sharing a pie of the royalties back with investors that they get to decide. So they can pick how valuable they want their asset to be, the token. And it's a good model. Fans have made money off musicians. All musicians so far on the platform have made more money from their token, from the gains in Matic, and also investors than the royalties would have paid out to them. And we're growing. We've raised over 60K from musicians now, and I'm really excited for the future. Do I like K-pop? I think it's all right. I'm more of a rap guy.
Nice. Yeah, I grew up with rap as well. But thank you for sharing that. I definitely think that NFTs provide a different idea of.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to be clear. It's they're not NFTs. They're ERC elite tokens. So they're tokens with their own staking mechanism, liquidity pool, and custom-built royalty pump smart contract that we built for all of them. So we purposefully use tokens because we want to incentivize as much trading as possible. And because there is no need to sell on a secondary market because they are tokens, we're getting as much transaction fees and taxes as possible, which are paying back musicians and our own investors. So we're trying to push a very fast-moving, fast-trading market where there's a lot of speculation on a musician's music sales. So just wanted to clarify that they are tokens, not NFTs.
Got it. Yeah, thanks for that clarification. Yeah, ultimately, like you said, it's about giving the creators, the artists, a better opportunity to accrue value for their own creative aspirations, right? Like they spend a lot of time and they want to put the best out there, and sometimes, as you said, they get recognized, and people come in and kind of take the value away from them. But this is a good way to get that direct relationship with community members that find their art, you know, fun or entertaining in some way. And in that way, we're seeing a lot of these creators find different ways to expose their art to different people,
Yeah.
right? And you're providing a platform for that, so that sounds pretty
It's
cool.
usually the power of the free market. Like the musician can choose what percent of sales they give up to investors. Investors can choose what they want to invest into. The music industry is way too closed off. It's almost monopolized, and that's intentionally done so that labels hold all the power. Web3 is going to push that, and I'm the company that is going to help change this push, specifically in the music industry. I mean, with Web2, we helped to see music distribution change. The internet helped it so that anyone could be a star by putting their music on SoundCloud or the internet, like Soldier Boy. But it didn't solve the problem of financing in the music sector. Labels came in and started to control everything again. That's where Web3 is going to really change a big part of the music industry. And that's the next big push in future for music and finance is Web3, specifically signed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, every kind of media, right? You're talking about sound and music, you know, and with Knights and Peasants, you know, we're talking about gaming as well. And so I think any kind of media, it's definitely going to create opportunities for artists just to get more value out of their creation. So I'm definitely excited for that, and that's our goal here with OnePlanet too, right? To create a marketplace for the owners of the assets to be able to have that direct relationship with the builders. I want to check in on the comments here. We have somebody here, Too Easy. Their favorite game is The Legend of Zelda. That's a really good game right there. Nostalgia for sure. And I want to go back to gaming though. So what do you guys think, you know, in the next year, what are some new models that are going to be explored around gaming if we're moving away from play to earn and that kind of environment where you need more people to constantly be coming in order for your backs to get heavier, right? How do we go back to focusing on gaming first? What kind of models do you guys think will come out of this? I'm curious, Shantastic, do you have an idea around this?
I think we're going to see more models that focus on the game itself, more models that that have gone the same direction as we have without a specific gaming token that needs liquidity pools and farms and everything like that, focusing on the chain token instead so that the community can have fun and not worry about a token dumping. You know, like every game token from the bull run has dumped 99% basically. It's gone way down, and that's brought community morale way very, very low. And I think we're going to see more games pop up where they would prefer to build the game and not have to focus on the ins and outs of keeping their token afloat. And also, some of those games from the bull run might actually have a product. A few of them, you know, like some of them made millions of dollars and they've been building. So I'm hoping that we see some of those MMORPGs actually pull through.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges in the past year was that a lot of the projects set themselves up almost for failure, right? They promise really big things, and you know, some of them may not have had the experience necessary to build a big game, the metaverse, um, or any kind of game, really, right? It was more of the meta at the time to say you were going to build a game, but it does take a lot of time and energy and experience to build something that focuses on fun first, right? Without having those just Web3 DeFi aspects attached to it to incentivize people to come in first for that reason.
On Harmony, we saw a lot of GameFi projects with big dreams, but they were farming tokens first and foremost, and as those dumped, those big dreams got pretty shattered. So hopefully next bull run we will see less of that overpromising.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that the collectors have become a little bit more sophisticated as well, right? They probably fell for that themselves. They were attracted to those DeFi farming aspects. And then after they lost their initial investment, they kind of lost that initial hope.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit that I was one of those people that fell for it. A lot of us fell for it. Let's be honest. It was exciting and new, and nobody really knew what was happening.
Oh yeah, I got double pounded on that because I was in the DeFi kingdoms and I was in Terra, right? So I was able to bridge UST, the stable coin, to Harmony, and I LP'd that with a Jewel. So not only did Jewel go down, but UST also went down to zero. So it was ridiculous. But either way, I thought the experience of being in that initial kind of growth for DeFi Kingdoms was pretty cool. Just to see them build the the quest idea, or creating the market, the music. I mean, it was cool just to see the beginning of everything that was being built. But I haven't checked that in months, so I don't know what's going on there anymore. We have another comment here from Qatar. They have a Knights and Peasants PFP. The game that I keep going back to no matter how much it hurts me, JK, is Path of Exile. To add to this, Path of Exile would do amazing if it got into the Web3 world. I've never heard of that game. Do you guys know what that game is? Path of Exile. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say something different, but I think the next meta will be to attract like real serious Web2 gamers to onboard into the Web3 gaming space. I think some of the Web2 like serious gamers are still hesitant to incorporate NFTs in their games. So I think Web3 games that succeed in attracting serious Web2 gamers without knowing about the NFTs in their gaming ecosystem will be the successful game that will dominate the gaming space in general.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up just like the Web2, right, or the just the gaming world that exists right now. So one recent thing that I was looking at was Call of Duty has a new game out, right? A new Warzone, which is free to play, and they have their paid version as well. But in this game, you can buy skins. And they're like $10 for different skins. There's this gaming company called LA Thieves, and their skin was all blacked out. And so what that does during the game is that if you find corners that have a shadow, you're essentially camouflaged. And so that gives you an edge, it gives you an advantage in competition, right? It makes you have that extra second to come out and have a better angle with your opponents, get the kill quicker and all that. But what happened was the Call of Duty team decided to change that, right? They nerfed it essentially. So instead of being all blacked out, they added like red stripes to the backpack, red kind of frames to the glasses, and so the people that bought these skins were angry, because that's not what they paid for, right? They paid for the all blacked out one. So I think this is something that's interesting too. If NFTs were involved, essentially these NFTs would be unable to change, right? I mean, I guess the metadata could change, but that would go completely against what the ethos is of Web3, right, and NFTs, and so I'm curious about what your thoughts are around that specific stories.
Yeah, I think having a trust between your gamers and then the creators, I think it's the most important factor growing your gaming, because once it's like one and done. Once you lose the trust with your users, you're like permanently hurt in terms of your reputation. So I think the ethos of NFT should stay the same, where the metadata should stay the same permanently. And I think that's the number one most important factor when it comes to creating the Web3 games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you buy something, right, there's an expectation to it. So when that changes, I think that it people are obviously going to be asking for refunds, because then that the main reason why they purchased something they spent their money for is not there anymore. And similarly, I hope that NFTs are something that are able to honor that. I think that kind of takes us back to like the whole royalties conversation as well. I wanted to check in with any of the listeners if you guys want to jump up here, if you have some thoughts around the evolution of Web3 gaming. Where do you think it's going to be in the next 6 months to a year? Definitely come up, share some of your thoughts. I think Rect Gang, they're going to come up with their Rect game soon. So I'm curious to learn more about that. Maybe Ghost has something to share about that. Uh, but with OnePlanet, that is something that we want to dive deeper into as well. Just more gaming projects. We do find that ultimately, that adds more utility to projects, and so if we can provide different tools for collectors and creators to add utility to their collections, that's ultimately what we want, right? Go ahead, Matic Man.
Yeah, I see Polygon Punks in the space, and they, of course, have an incredible NFT collection, one of the top 10 all time on Polygon. I just was wondering, is there a game in the Polygon Punks future?
What's going on, guys?
Hey,
how you doing?
Is this Sam or
Yes,
Michael?
it's Sam. Yeah.
Hey, Sam.
How you doing? You okay? Yeah,
doing well, man.
A Polygon Punks game. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We did have it on our original roadmap, and then we weren't too sure about finding a sort of developer for it and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to do something. We did think about a kind of maybe like a card game, because obviously, like the punks, they have their own attributes and stuff and kind of point systems, so it might work quite well to do like a Polygon Punks card game or something like that. But yeah, no, we'll definitely look into it. I mean, especially with all the stuff that's going on with sort of Polygon gaming, it'd be cool to do a little side game. So yeah, no, it's definitely on the cards, mate, in the future.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming up here.
Hey, no worries.
Appreciate you stopping by and listening as well.
Oh, no problem.
I think ultimately what most projects want and the community wants, is always what utility their collections have, right? So making a game is not an easy thing to do, but if there's some ways to figure out how to add utility to projects, to collections, that's what's going to be fun, and it's going to continue to attract users. But we're getting close to an hour here. So I wanted to just kind of go around and get some last thoughts from everybody here. If there's any listeners that want to come up and share anything about Web3 gaming, definitely come up and we'll give you the floor. But let's start with Matic, man. Any last thoughts from you around Web3 gaming? What you expect in the next year?
I just think that when people are able to combine fun and finance and in a really tangible way, is what we need. I love Knights and Peasants. We had some people from there. We're doing a joint giveaway with Knights and Peasants and Crypto Crew, and we've had people from their community pop into our Discord, and they've talked about how much they enjoy the Knights and Peasants game. So I think they're on to something. They've been able to wed fun and finance, and so that's the future of gaming, I think.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Eric, any last thoughts from you?
Yeah, I can't wait to check out the like real quality Web3 game where I can't stop spending my time on it, especially on Polygon Network. So I can't wait to check like a real Web3 games out next year.
And I think to that point, right? Like we have yet to really see a game that can survive for a long time on like live streams on Twitch, right? And a game that can build a community around user generated content. Axie Infinity obviously had that during the bull run, but then players quickly realized that the maybe the game wasn't as fun initially as they thought of. They were more attracted to the financial aspect of it. Knights and Peasants, any last thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think this space is so experimental at the moment, and the whole bull run was an experiment. But I feel like the projects that are being built now are the ones that have learnt from all the past mistakes, all the past successes, and I think we're going to have a bunch of really cool projects to ape into soon, all ready for the next bull run.
Yeah, exactly. That's another good point, right? That there's still so much pivoting and so much innovation going on. Yeah, like nobody has really made it. Nobody has really found exactly what that connection is between Web3 NFTs and gaming. Um, and so in the last year, we've seen a lot of projects promise a lot, and even a lot of VCs come in with huge amounts of money investing into projects. And so I'm thinking, it might take 2-3 years for them to use that money and to build something that's fun first, and then layer some Web3 components on top of that. We got one more comment here from Ghost. He said his favorite game is Empire Earth RTS, then FPS Battlefield 4. I've never played those, but first-person shooters, man, those are always the sweatiest games where it gets so competitive trying to kill other people. So I'm sure I'm sure you had fun with those. Polygon Punks, any last thoughts from you on gaming here?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I guess is because I do quite a bit of sort of regular PC gaming and stuff on Steam, and like the gaming community sort of just hate NFTs, and so that's a massive problem. You kind of got to, and a lot of them it's that they haven't had any kind of interaction with blockchain gaming, but they've just kind of it's just got a bad rep in kind of mainstream gaming at the moment. From even like the companies themselves, like Steam have banned NFTs like that. I did you saw the thing recently with Minecraft where they kind of removed NFT Worlds, which was like a blockchain game built on top of Minecraft. But if you read all the kind of crypto media, like everyone's like, oh, it's a shame, that's a shame. But if you read all the gaming media, everyone's like, ha ha, screw NFT Worlds, it's probably a scam. So I don't know, that's just a hurdle. I think it's like it's probably going to take one of these big marketplaces like Steam or a big gaming company just to make a good, a big blockchain game that onboards a load of people, and then I think everyone will kind of change their view. But I think it's always crazy because when you look at it, it's like all of these mainstream games, they're all perfect for the blockchain because at the moment, like a lot of these, particularly like mainstream shooters and stuff, you're basically like just paying to buy skins or weapons, and then you don't own them in any way. You know what I mean? It's like if you delete your Steam account, you can for some of the games you'll lose everything. So to have that you can now buy skins and have them on OpenSea, and maybe if you don't want to keep them, you can sell them on, or you can keep them for the next season. I think it's just like gaming's perfect for blockchain, but at the moment, the kind of gaming community have this idea that blockchain gaming is all a scam. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's the same with the public in general. A lot of people are looking on crypto in the same way. So I think, yeah, hopefully within the next couple of years, we'll get over that hurdle.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I've always questioned is, are we going to have one of these big platforms like Steam, for example, create their Web3 tools on their platform to kind of mold their community into enjoying like an NFT backend for games? Or is there going to be a new platform started out of Web3 that just scales to a point where it competes with Steam, right? Or maybe there's both, right? Maybe they both kind of meet in the middle in some way. I mean, we're seeing software change. Like even Discord recently, I saw they are allowing Solana wallets to connect directly. So I thought that was interesting, right? They're making a push um, there in their own way. So yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how everything unites in the next few years. I think even the wallet component, right? Just that still creates so many barriers for users in Web3 and like onboarding them into using a MetaMask wallet that seems so chaotic at times. I think Phantom coming to Polygon may be able to provide a little bit more support in the user experience for that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, I think if you look at what like Reddit are doing and Instagram are doing on the NFT side, that's probably what these gaming companies are going to have to do, where you don't mention blockchain or crypto. You just, if you look at like Reddit, they basically you have a vault, and it's a Polygon wallet, but it's a vault. They call it a vault, and then you don't have NFTs, you have digital collectibles. And it's kind of, it seems really dumb if you're in crypto that works, but it is the thing. If you just don't call it crypto, don't call it NFTs, then all the kind of normies are okay with it. So I think that's probably the thing. Steam will introduce the blockchain in the background, and half the gamers won't know that they're kind of interacting with blockchain, and it probably work like that.
Yeah, and actually Dave mentioned this last week because ultimately the NFTs is the name of the technology, right? But we're all still using that. That's the norm for us. But in reality, there are going to be different terms used on top of the NFT technology, like vaults or like digital collectibles, right? That make it sound even more realistic. Like if you really think about it, the Reddit avatars, they are digital collectibles, right? It's something that you own, something that you can own many of, and you can trade just like a regular physical Pokemon card. But we in the Web3 environment that are more native and have been here for the last few years, we still call everything NFTs. So it's going to come from, it has to kind of start from us as well. Like at what point do we start naming things differently?
Yeah, definitely. But I think the problem is just that like crypto and NFTs, they have this stigma with the kind of normies as being a scam. And then I think because like money's involved, particularly, people get very touchy about it. So I just think that is the issue. You kind of got to, yeah, I mean, just like what Reddit did. If you start saying a wallet, a crypto wallet, people are like, oh my God, what? And they get worried. But if you just hide it in the background, you have the vault animation. It's like, people are happy with that. And I think Instagram, if you look at Nike, like Nike are launching their new metaverse, but I can't remember what they call it, but it's something like digital collectibles. So I think that's kind of the trick. Like you can start introducing blockchain technology into games, but just don't say it's like a blockchain game or an NFT. Just kind of hide it all in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in the front end, just keep it easy, keep it simple so that everybody can just use it in a way that they're used to from a Web2 environment, right? Or just a normal gaming environment. All right, well, guys, I think we got to an hour here, so we're gonna close it down. But I wanted to give a shout out to all of our speakers here, our guests, and all of our listeners. Thank you guys for your time. Rec Gang, you were almost up here, but I think Twitter rugged you. We have some Cosmos listeners as well, so thank you guys for coming out here. Sir Yobster, first time I see you here, but thank you for spending the time with us. Ghost, as always, appreciate your support, man. Department 77 has some trouble, so couldn't come up here and share anything, but they got a mini game coming up, so definitely follow their accounts so you can see more previews of what they have going on. But it's a card game. It's going to be about their world in Department 77, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, thanks everybody. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and if you need some if you have some time, play some games, have some fun, and keep coming up with ideas for Web3. I think that's what we need right now too, just more creative people to be in the space and push the technology forward. And with that, we'll be back next week, same time, same day. And like I said, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for joining us for The Landing, One Planet's weekly meeting space. Please join us again next week at the same time.